So you've decided you want to start woodworking. What do you need? Let's talk about tools you think you need but actually don't, and let's save you some money in the process. G'day guys, Kieran here from KJH Woodworking and welcome back to the channel. If you've just started out your woodworking journey, it is crucial for you to understand what tools you truly need and what tools you can avoid. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 tools that beginners generally think they need when they can actually avoid them initially. Let's dive right in. The first thing I think you can avoid is expensive power tools. While power tools can save you time, they are normally quite expensive. As a beginner, it is generally better to focus on developing the fundamental hand skills rather than forking out for expensive power tools to get the job done quickly. Basic hand tools like hand saws, chisels, hand planes can yield a great result while being cost effective and also setting the foundations for a fantastic woodworking journey. If you spend your time mastering your hand skill ability early on in the piece, you will thank me later for how much you enjoy the craft. And a way you can thank me is by smashing that thumbs up button, letting me know you like this video. Another thing you can generally avoid is specialty jigs. Specialty jigs are jigs designed for specific tasks like dovetail jigs, box joint jigs. These are great, but generally require skill to use. And early in the piece, you want to be learning your skills with the basic fundamental joinery techniques rather than using these more advanced skills. While these jigs can be helpful for advanced projects, they're not necessarily required for beginners. It's better to practice and learn the fundamental joinery techniques using your hand tools before delving into the world of specialty jig. Master the basics first. Think of it like driving a car. If you're learning to drive a car, you're not going to jump in a Formula One car and head up to the racetrack. No, you're going to learn in a quiet back streets of your local town that you know. So you want to master the basics first, then dive into the more advanced stuff. Start slow and slowly grow your confidence. The next thing I think you can avoid is a full set of chisels. Chisels are an essential woodworking tool. There is no question about that. But you don't really need an extensive set to get the job done. Instead, when starting out, invest in 3 or 4 quality chisels in a variety of sizes. This will allow you to cover a range of tasks with a small set of chisels. A few well-maintained chisels will yield brilliant results. Quality over quantity. I have a really good range of chisels, as you can see in the background, but the reality is I use 3. I probably use a 10 mil, a 19 mil, and a 25 mil. That's just the reality of it. But it does look good in the background, right? The next thing I think you can avoid is advanced marking and measuring tools. While precision is the key to woodworking, you can achieve that with 3 simple tools: a quality tape measure, a quality combination square, and a quality marking knife. The key word there was quality. This is where you want to spend some good money to get good quality tools. I'm not necessarily saying spend a fortune on high-end named brands, but you can get some really good, cheaper alternatives that still yield great results, but you are going to spend more money than if you went down to your local hardware store and bought bottom of the barrel and went, hey, a tape measure is a tape measure. A tape measure is not a tape measure. There are really good examples where people have lined up 10 different brands of tape measures and they all have different measurements. As you progress in your woodworking journey, you can slowly add to your marking collection and get different jigs and different tools as you need them, but you don't necessarily need them at the beginning. Bonus tip, this is where I strongly suggest you spend the time to learn how to use these tools properly. If you can't mark and measure accurately, your projects will be a nightmare. Take the time to master this skill and you will be thanking yourself for years to come, because the more accurate you can mark and measure, the more accurate your projects are gonna be, which is gonna yield far better results than anything else you can learn. The reality is, it doesn't matter how good a dovetail you can cut, if you can't mark it out accurately. Take the time to learn this fundamental skill as early as possible. This one's not necessarily a tool, but I think it's really important to think about and understand. Exotic woods. They may look awesome and be so tempting because the finished product will look amazing if you use that unusual looking timber, but they tend to be really expensive. As a beginner, it is more cost effective and practical to start with affordable and readily available timbers such as pine and Tassie oak if you're in Australia. These woods are easier to work with and will allow you to practice without the added pressure of the expense that you're cutting it to. Working with some exotic timbers requires you to have a lot more knowledge about the capabilities of your tools, as well as an understanding of the timber's grain structure. My advice would be save the exotics for later. And there you have it. Now you have a much better understanding of what tools to avoid as a beginner woodworker. Remember, building your fundamental skills and knowledge is the key before forking out for expensive tools and equipment. As you gain experience and tackle more complex projects, you can gradually expand your tool arsenal for your specific requirements and interests. If you want more tips and tricks like this, consider subscribing to the channel, and I highly recommend you check out the video on the screen, as I think it'll be really helpful for you if you found this video interesting. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy building. Cheers, guys.